Every penguin in the world, a quest to see them all, is the story of an accidental but thoroughly wonderful obsession. It's an honor for me to be part of Portland Audubon Society's Wild Arts Festival. And it's a pleasure to have an opportunity to tell you a bit about my book, which, by the way, as you can see in this cover, was endorsed by Jane Goodall and, in fact, also by Brene Brown. My wife Susan and I undertook a quest to see all 18 species of the world's penguins. It was a 17-year journey, and we were privileged to meet some of the most amazing birds on the planet, up close and personal, in fact, like these emperor penguins in Antarctica. Utterly unique experiences, like experiences with no other animal I've ever had. We traveled to some of the most beautiful places in the world, like this unforgettable sunset, once in a lifetime sunset on the Antarctic Peninsula. Entered dream worlds in Antarctica, places of stunning magical beauty. And these incredible encounters, just amazing encounters with wildlife, like these gentoo penguins on Saunders Island in the Falklands. When I went to take this photo, by the way, the penguins were all looking at the sunset. And as I set up to take the picture, they all turned to face me. And it was like this question, who's looking at whom? And that's the way it is with penguins. They were actually as interested in me as I was in them. So this quest was not something Susan and I planned. It developed gradually. You can see a bit of why. Everybody loves penguins, of course. And one of the reasons is their cute factor is off the charts, like these baby penguins, these emperor penguins, which I think are perhaps the cutest baby animals in the world. The charm of penguins is irresistible. They're cute, they're curious, and they're comical. And penguins, we discovered, will call you to great adventures. And if you answer their call, they'll change you. And they certainly changed us. And every penguin in the world tells the story of what we learned about penguins and how they changed us. So it's fact-friendly, story-driven, and with my photographs, and it treats of 3 different real kind of themes: the call to adventure, the summons to learn about the world and try to save it, and the quest for something sacred and transformative. Because as you can see a bit of here, penguins are living lessons in a deepening love for the planet and its creatures, in all their beauty and all their vulnerability. So just a little bit of orientation. You'll see this on this map, a kind of penguin's view of the world. I just want to point out a couple things to you, because people think penguins are all about Antarctica, but in fact, they're really even more about the ocean that surrounds Antarctica and the little islands that dot that. So if you go down into the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see Argentina with the Falkland Islands and South Georgia. Many penguins are on these islands and found only on these islands. So it's a call to remoteness. And in fact, the travel for this kind of quest is really complicated. The logistics is complicated, but wonderful. So I point out South Georgia on the lower right. And I want to point out also these islands, the Bounty Islands and the Antipodes up in the very top, and Snares Island and Auckland Island. Each one of these will have its own unique species of penguins, which makes looking for them all both fun and difficult and complicated. So the remotest island in the world we visited, the Tristan da Cunha Islands, and this is Inaccessible Island, and it's named because it's so impossible to find. It's the only place to find northern rockhopper penguins. This was our species number 18. Or the Bounty Islands in the South Pacific, those are all albatrosses flying over it, with one of the most charming penguins, the erect-crested penguin. It's found only in the Bounty and the Antipodes Islands, and it's the only penguin that can raise and lower its crest, that has control of its crest. Or Snares Island with the Snares Island crested penguin on this rock formation on that island. Very difficult to get to. We had to go back twice because there were such storms the first time we couldn't see it. We couldn't get off into the Zodiac. The handsome little penguins, also endangered. And so it was an adventure to find them, and many of them we discovered are really endangered. Like these yellow-eyed penguins in New Zealand. They're plunging dramatically in New Zealand, and nobody seems to be able to figure out why, and they could well be gone in no time. And in fact, like these Adelie penguins, of the 18 species of penguins, 11 are declining, 10 are already endangered, and well, the rest, biologists expect population decline soon. And the book asks the simple question, everybody loves penguins, and if we can't save what everybody loves, what in the world can we save? So I'd like to tell you a story about the penguin, a particular penguin that changed my life and changed the trajectory of the book. And this is a pair of king penguins. They're, I think, among the most beautiful penguins in the world. They're tall, 3 feet tall. And they changed the way they changed the way I think about penguins. And this story will sort of describe that, tell you a little bit about why I wrote the book, why you might want to even explore it with me. We were on South Georgia Island, which is perhaps the most, I think, one of the most beautiful places in the entire world. This is St. Andrews Bay on South Georgia Island, wild beauty. And these are all king penguins, and they're in breeding plumage and they're molting. And I wanted to capture this photo, this particular photo, because it just spoke to me of really gorgeous wild beauty. So I got down, it's very early in the morning, I got down on my stomach, so I had a nice low angle for a photograph, and inched my way forward, crawling on my elbows. And as I was photographing, I realized that something was pecking at the boots on my feet behind me. And then it pecked at my pants, and I turned around to look, and there was a single king penguin coming back from the sea who was exploring me. He pecked at my jacket. He came all the way up and he looked straight at me, stood right above my face and looked right at me. It was an amazing moment, actually. And then he did something that surprised me. He put his head up back, tilted toward the sky, and started calling the way penguins call. This hoarse, throaty, loud call. Really a wild, edgy kind of call. And the weird thing is, I suddenly knew what he was saying to me. Literally knew what he was saying to me. You may, and this changed everything. You, for example, may know that penguins, and like these king penguins, nest in enormous colonies, like 200,000 pairs in a colony. And this is a colony of king penguins on South Georgia Island. And you may wonder, how do they find each other? Like, how do mates find each other when they go off fishing at sea? Or those babies, the brown birds in groups, those are little babies. They don't, king penguins don't have nests. They raise their chicks on their feet and warm and incubate the eggs on their feet. So the chicks wander around when the parents go out to sea. How do they find each other again? Well, the answer is one of those wonderful facts that science tells us. It's in their call. Each penguin, the penguin colonies are loud, and they sound like undifferentiated sounds, but each penguin has its own particular sound that is recognizable by other penguins, like the chicks. So they call to each other. In other words, the individual identity of each of these penguins is inscribed in its call. So when this penguin is calling to me, what is he saying to me? He's telling me who he is. This is who I am. And what's more, here's, I call it creche. The babies gather together with a babysitter, an adult babysitter. And they may look all alike, but the adults will come back and find their babies by the calls they give. And they expect then a response when they call. And so the penguin was telling me who he was, and he expected me to say who I am. That was a life-changing moment for me, because in fact, the penguins are asking for a response, and they want a response. I wanted to give a response that is responsible. It was a deeply ethical moment for me and really moving, and it set the trajectory of this book, because this book is really my response to that penguin. This is who I am in some responsible way in a relationship with you. I believe that creatures call us to our deepest selves, and this book is about that call. They taught me a lot about heart and soul and hope, and that's how this book became a spiritual quest as well as a conservation quest and an adventure quest, a pilgrimage for something sacred and transformative in the world. So penguins and the nature are calling to us, and how we answer matters profoundly. We have to listen and learn to respond. And I've in fact learned that penguins and nature right now in this state of the world is in our hands. This little baby white flippered penguin with its adult, the only penguin, by the way, that is not black and white. And this book is a celebration of that love for penguins and what penguins have taught and teach us about who we are. But I hope you'll take a look at the book, buy it, read it, enjoy it, and in fact, even give it for Christmas gifts. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you this afternoon.